There's a certain kind of person who always seems to need something. Your time, your energy, your money, your attention. At first, it looks harmless. You tell yourself you're just helping. You tell yourself they'd do the same for you. But slowly, the pattern reveals itself. You give, they take. You bend, they lean. You break, they keep leaning. And one day, you wake up and realize you're empty, not because life drained you, but because someone else did. This is the psychology of the leech, the person who survives through others. They may not even see themselves as manipulators. They'll tell you they're struggling, unlucky, misunderstood, but beneath the surface, there's a subconscious strategy at play, one that feeds on your empathy. Psychologically, leeches operate from a scarcity mindset. They believe the world doesn't have enough, and that the only way to survive is by attaching themselves to someone who does. Deep down, they don't feel capable of generating their own stability, so they attach to yours. You become their source, their emotional ATM, their therapist, their safety net. And once they sense that you'll always show up, they stop showing up for themselves. What makes this dynamic so dangerous is that it doesn't always start with malice. It starts with need. The leech is often a person who learned early on that manipulation works better than effort. Maybe they grew up in a home where attention came only through crisis. Maybe they were rewarded for helplessness and ignored when they were strong. So, as adults, they unconsciously repeat the same pattern, creating small emergencies to secure love, care, or resources. But make no mistake, dependency becomes control. The leech thrives by keeping you in the rescuer role. They guilt you with phrases like, the only one who understands me, or if you don't help me, no one will. Every favor you give becomes a silent contract, one they never plan to repay. You start feeling responsible for them. You feel guilty when you say no. You justify their behavior because you know what they've been through. But here's the truth. Empathy without boundaries becomes self-destruction. Because the leech doesn't want partnership, they want sustenance. The psychology behind this is what therapists call learned helplessness. Meets emotional parasitism. They've learned that effort rarely brings reward, but manipulation does. So instead of growing, they latch. They don't just borrow energy, they absorb it. And the longer you stay, the more your identity revolves around saving them. Eventually, you become addicted to the role. You tell yourself you can't abandon them because you care. But what you're really afraid of is who you'll be without someone to fix. The dynamic between a giver and a taker is symbiotic, not in health, but in dysfunction. One feeds off need, the other feeds off purpose. Both are trapped. That's why leeches often target givers, people with big hearts, soft boundaries, and deep guilt. They can sense generosity the way predators sense fear. They'll mirror your values, compliment your character, and slowly condition you into thinking you owe them something. And by the time you notice the imbalance, it's too late. They've wrapped themselves so tightly around your life that cutting them off feels cruel. But here's the hidden truth. They never respected your kindness. They relied on it. They didn't love your empathy. They used it. Because to the leech, love isn't connection, it's consumption. Every time you give in to their guilt, every time you prioritize their chaos over your peace, you reinforce their belief that dependency works. You teach them that effort isn't necessary, that emotional manipulation pays off, that they can drain others indefinitely without consequence. And they will, until you stop them. When you start to pull away from a leech, you'll notice something interesting. They don't get sad, they get desperate. Their tone shifts from warmth to panic, from guilt to anger. Because when you withdraw your energy, you don't just threaten their comfort, you threaten their identity. They need someone to depend on, the same way a body needs oxygen. Without a host, they start to suffocate. The leech doesn't see relationships as exchanges. They see them as ecosystems, ones they must dominate to survive. Every person they attach to becomes an extension of their nervous system. They borrow confidence from your self-assurance, borrow motivation from your stability, and borrow peace from your emotional regulation. And when you're drained, they don't recognize it. They just see less supply. This is where the manipulation intensifies. They'll remind you of everything you've done for them, not to express gratitude, but to weaponize it. They use your past kindness as leverage. You've always been there for me. You said you'd never give up on me. They appeal to your guilt, not your logic, because guilt is the currency of control. Psychologically, this is known as covert dependency. The leech doesn't always take in obvious ways. Some drain subtly through constant complaints, emotional crises, or endless advice-seeking. They disguise neediness as vulnerability, keeping you engaged through empathy. But true vulnerability invites growth. There's only invites repetition. And here's the dark truth: the leech doesn't want solutions. Solutions end the supply. If they wanted healing, they'd listen. If they wanted peace, they'd act. But they want attention, and attention thrives on chaos. So they stay stuck, and make sure you stay stuck with them. The giver, on the other hand, begins to deteriorate. You start noticing resentment creeping in. You avoid their calls, dread their texts, and feel guilty for even thinking about cutting them off. But resentment is just unspoken fatigue. It's the body's way of saying, you're giving too much to someone who gives too little. Yet still, you stay not because you want to, but because leaving feels cruel. You've mistaken enabling for compassion. To break free, you must understand something crucial. The leech doesn't need more of you. They need consequences. They need the discomfort of emptiness to finally confront their own capability. Every time you rescue them, you delay that reckoning. You become part of their dysfunction, not their solution. Detachment is not betrayal, it's clarity. When you stop feeding dysfunction, it starves. That's when the leech will either evolve or seek another host. And both outcomes are liberation, for them and for you. Psychologically, detaching from a taker requires retraining your own beliefs about love. You must learn that love without reciprocity is not love, it's servitude. That giving endlessly doesn't make you kind, it makes you complicit. That real empathy includes yourself, not just others. It's understanding that saving someone who refuses to swim will only drown you both. The leech often masks dependency behind victimhood. They'll tell you the world has been cruel to them, and maybe it has. But every adult reaches a point where pain becomes a choice. Where continuing to exploit others for survival is no longer trauma, it's entitlement. You can have compassion for their wounds without letting those wounds bleed into your life. Breaking the bond will hurt. They'll accuse you of abandonment, call you selfish, claim you've changed. And they're right, you have. You've grown beyond the version of yourself that tolerated being drained. You've realized that love built on exhaustion isn't noble, it's manipulative. That helping someone who refuses to help themselves isn't grace, it's avoidance of your own boundaries. Then when you finally step away, something shifts. You start noticing how much quieter your mind feels, how your energy starts returning, how you have space again for yourself, your goals, your peace. You realize that you were never cold for saying no. You were simply unlearning codependency, disguised as kindness. But the deeper lesson is this: the world will always have takers. It's not your job to change them. It's your job to recognize them before they attach. Notice who only calls when they need something, Who disappears when you need help? Who praises your generosity but never offers their own? Because the leech doesn't announce itself, it tests you quietly, one favor at a time. The psychology of the leech reveals a truth most people don't want to face that. Some people don't want your love, they want your labor. They don't want your support, they want your supply. And once you understand that, you stop negotiating your peace for someone else's comfort. The cure isn't revenge or bitterness, it's indifference. When you stop feeding what drains you, it withers. And what's left is strength, the kind that comes from finally realizing your energy is sacred. You don't owe it to everyone who asks. You owe it to yourself first, because the most powerful thing you can do to a leech is nothing.